Okay. Let's go and watch the Russian sleep experiment. So this was an actual experiment about sleeping, and that the Russian army actually performed. They actually started seeing ghosts and shit. Like this stuff is actually like fucking like so basically the story goes like this, right? They put like enemies of the state in a confined room, basically like psychiatric yard, fucking padded cell. But a padded cell, you know, like the pads, you know, like cushions. You know, like it's basically like cushion rooms, right? But they actually put like five dudes, three or five dudes, like in this, and then they fucking like overstimulated them. Like basically they use drugs, like basically like hardcore cocaine, to actually like see what happens when you actually live without sleep. And stuff started to fucking freak the fuck out. Like there were actually ghosts, like ghosts or stuff. You'll see in the footage. I actually saw it before, but like it's just funny to react to it, because like you can see that like it made a stimulants, but like creepypastas are usually fake, but you can know that like the Russian sleep experiment is actually a verified like military story, and it's a verified story also because fuck you, the pictures, no one, like basically you see this picture, this is like a fucking like scary picture that like someone took, and it's not complicated to do. The Russian sleep experiment pictures, you will see that it's actually fucking difficult to fucking like. People back then, no one will fucking use like $300 of fucking equipment, or like just for a fucking like a scary story on the internet. So it's actually legitimate. You can verify both, because like both, like it was verified by other like media sources that it was actually real. But so this is like the creepypasta that is actually like real, the real nightmare and the real paranormal, because like something messed up happened. So let's check it out. I actually love the story a lot. I don't know why. I hated it back in the day, because it made me lose some sleep, and now I actually like it. Like it's kind of like in between the military horror stories that I like, like. So yeah, let's check it out.
In the late 1940s, a group of Russian researchers discovered an experimental gas-based stimulant which could eradicate the need for sleep in humans. 5 test subjects were chosen to test the gas, all deemed enemies of the state. They were kept in a sealed environment to carefully monitor their oxygen intake, as the gas was toxic in high concentrations. This was before closed circuit cameras, so their only means of monitoring the subjects were microphones and a few thick glass portholes into the chamber. The chamber was stocked with books, cots to sleep on, running water, a toilet, and enough dried food to last all 5 for over a month. Everything was 5 for the first 5 days.
So basically, it's got so we're like rather than padded cell, like it's a we're like kind of like imprisoned in a bunker, basically.
The subjects hardly complained, having been promised, falsely, that they would be freed if they did not sleep for 30 days. Their conversations and activities were monitored closely, and it was noted that they continued to talk about increasingly traumatic incidents in their past life, and the general tone of their conversations took on a darker aspect after the 4-day mark. After 5 days, they started to complain about the circumstances and events that led them to where they were, and started to demonstrate signs of paranoia. They stopped talking to one another, and began alternately whispering to the microphones and portholes. Oddly, they seemed to think they could win the trust of their researchers by turning over their fellow comrades. At first, the researchers suspected that this was an effect of the gas itself. After 9 days, the first of them started screaming. He ran the length of the chamber, repeatedly yelling at the top of his lungs for 3 hours straight. After he tore his vocal cords, he still continued attempting to scream, but was only able to produce occasional squeaks. The most surprising thing about this behavior is how the other captives reacted to it, or didn't react to it. They continued whispering into the microphones until the second of the captives started to scream. The 3 non-screaming captives took books apart, smearing page after page with their own feces and pasted them over the glass portholes. The screaming promptly stopped, and so did the whispering in the microphones.
Yeah, so right away, isolated, fucked up. Like technically, within psychiatry and psychology, and basically within the studies of psychology and psychiatry, isolation in long periods can actually create like do brain damage. Just so you know, like to add insult to injury. So even if you're like with people they were seen as enemies of the state and like Russia said don't laugh with the enemies of the state, bro. Like it's not like back in the day. Back in the day it was like gulag, bro. Like if you were enemy of the state. So so yeah, they actually got unlucky. The gulag would have been better for them rather than this fucking nightmare.
After 3 more days passed, the researchers checked the microphones hourly to make sure they weren't working, as they thought it impossible that no sound could be coming from the chamber. The oxygen consumption in the chamber indicated that all 5 must still be alive. In fact, it was the amount of oxygen 5 people would consume at a very heavy level of strenuous exercise. On the morning of the 14th day, the researchers did something they said they would not do. They used the intercom inside the chamber, hoping to provoke a response from the captives. They announced,
So basically, for 14 days, they only heard screamings and screaming, and then when it went silent, right? And then after 14 days, they were like, because they knew they were still alive though. They fucking like decided the government to fucking check out what's going on.
"We are opening the chamber to test the microphones. Step away from the door and lie flat on the floor, or you will be shot. Compliance will earn one of you your immediate freedom." To their surprise, they heard one single phrase in a calm voice respond, "We no longer wish to be freed." Debate broke out among the researchers and the government officials funding the experiment. Unable to provoke any other response using the intercom, it was finally decided to open the chamber at midnight on the 15th day. That night, the chamber was flushed of the gas and filled with fresh air. Immediately, voices from the microphones began to object. 3 different subjects began begging, as if pleading for the life of loved ones, to turn the gas back on. The chamber was opened and soldiers sent in to retrieve the test subjects. They began to scream louder than ever, and so did the soldiers when they saw what was inside the chamber. 4 of the 5 subjects were still alive, although no one can rightly call the state that any of them were in living. The food rations for the past 5 days had not been so much as touched. There were chunks of rotting flesh from the dead subject's thighs and chest stuffed into the drain in the center of the chamber, which allowed 4 inches of red liquid to accumulate on the floor. Precisely how much of the liquid that was actually blood was never determined. All 4 surviving test subjects also had large portions of muscle and skin torn away from their bodies. The exposed bone on their fingertips indicated that the wounds were inflicted by hand, not with teeth as the researchers initially thought. Closer examination of the position and angles of the wounds indicated that all of them were self-inflicted. The organs below the rib cages of all 4 test subjects had been removed, while the heart, lungs, and diaphragm remained in place.
Fun stuff, huh? I would go for a weekend like this. Like my ex was this monstrous. Like what it describes is like basically a weekend with my ex. Like she was a monster girl, kind of the type too beautiful for you. Like what it describes is basically like my average weekend with my ex. We'll never be together again. It's a good thing. We were not meant for each other anyway. But goddamn, she was scary. Goddamn.
The skin and muscles attached to the ribs had been ripped off, exposing the lungs through the rib cage.
It's almost describing my state of mind after she left on the Sunday. Like I don't even know. On Monday, I mean Monday, Sunday, it depends. Oh my.
All the removed blood vessels and organs remained intact. They had just been taken out and laid on the floor, fanning out around the bodies of the subjects. The digestive tract of all
Okay, I'll rewatch the pictures just to see if we were like looking the same also, because like I'm actually like curious. Maybe this was just like knowing a girl like kind of with the same kind of like attitude as my ex. Maybe, you know, like I'll take the pictures. I'll tell you.
four could be seen working, digesting what was apparently their own flesh, which they had been eating for many days. Most of the soldiers were Russian operatives, but still, many refused to return to that chamber in order to remove the test subjects. The subjects continued to scream to be left alone in the chamber and alternately begged and demanded that the gas be turned back on, lest they fall asleep.
So this is like the curious part, where it's like they actually like got pitied by the state, and they actually as a reminder, this is a true story. This is a true experimentation, human experimentation story. It is not like your average creepy pasta. It is real and verified. You can check whatever wherever the fuck you want. Like basically, it's verified that this everything that he says is true, basically. But isn't that curious that like they fucking went from please anything but the fucking like gulag or fucking imprisonment to fucking we want the drug, because like the stimulants can be like refreshing. It's narcotic, right? It's a drug, but at the same time, bro, they did cannibalism, bro. Like at the same time, cannibalism with greater cocaine. I'm not sure about that, you know. So really, kind of like really like I don't know, interesting case, you know.
To everyone's surprise, the test subjects put up a fierce fight in the process of being removed from the chamber. One of the Russian soldiers died from having his throat ripped out. Another, gravely injured by having his testicles ripped off and an artery in his leg severed by one of the subject's teeth. 5 more soldiers lost their lives, if you count ones that committed suicide. In the struggle, one of the 4 living subjects had his spleen ruptured and was bleeding out quickly. The medical staff attempted to sedate him, but this proved impossible. He was injected with more than 10 times the normal human dose of morphine and still fought like a cornered animal.
Morphine is a sedative, so it is something that actually like fucking is used for anesthesia. So the dude was really like feral, you
Breaking
know.
the arm of one doctor. His heart continued beating for a full 2 minutes after he ran out of blood. Even after his heart stopped, he continued to scream and flail for another 3 minutes, struggling to attack anyone in reach and just repeating the word, more, over and over, weaker and weaker, until he finally fell silent. The surviving 3 test subjects were heavily restrained and moved to the medical facility, the 2 with intact vocal cords continuously begging for the gas, demanding to be kept awake. The most injured of the 3 was taken to the only surgical
Maybe they were doing like it gave them like fucked up nightmares. That's also like a conclusion that like could be possible. Like they wanted to stay actually like awake because the nightmares became like too real. Group paranoia is something that is possible within like closed environments, closed social environments. So maybe they were like doing nightmares that were so fucking heavy and hardcore that like basically like they actually were like avoiding sleep at all costs.
operating room that the facility had. In the process of preparing the subject to have his organs placed back in his body, it was found that he was effectively immune to the sedative they had given him. He fought furiously against his restraints when the anesthetic gas was brought out to put him to sleep. He managed to tear most of the way through a 4-inch wide leather strap on his wrist. It took little more anesthetic than normal to put him under, and the instant his eyelids fluttered and closed, his heart stopped. In the autopsy of the test subject, it was found that his blood had triple the normal level of oxygen found in a human body. The muscles that were still attached to his skeleton were badly torn, and he had broken 9 bones in his struggle to not be subdued. The second survivor had been the first of the group to start screaming. His vocal cords destroyed, he was unable to beg or object to surgery, and he only reacted by shaking his head very violently in disapproval when the anesthetic gas was brought out.
Maybe the dude was really into metal and like had like a really like Alice in Chains or like fucking Metallica fucking song stuck in his head. That's why. It's too far fetched. Pretty sure that like the dude was that this dude, unlike the other people, was really into heavy metal. Like heavy metal back then was kind of the fucking thing, you know.
He shook his head yes when a nurse suggested that they try the surgery without anesthetic. He did not react for the entire 6-hour procedure of replacing his abdominal organs and attempting to cover them with what little remained of his skin. The surgeon stated repeatedly that it should be medically impossible for the subject to still be alive. One terrified nurse stated,
Yeah, but like listening to Alice in Chains, Metallica, you don't know, you never know, bro. You fucking like oh, is you Osborne, bro? You sure? Like heavy metal is heavy metal, you know.
that she had seen the patient's mouth curl into a smile several times whenever his eyes met hers. When the surgery ended, the subject looked at the surgeon and began to wheeze loudly, attempting to talk. Assuming this must be something of importance, the surgeon had a pen and pad fetched so he could write out his message. It was simple. Keep cutting. The other 2 test subjects were given the same surgery, both without anesthetic. The surgeon found it almost impossible to perform the operation while the patients laughed continuously. Once paralyzed, the subjects could only follow the attending researchers with their eyes. The paralytic cleared their system in an abnormally short period of time, and they were soon trying to escape their bonds. The moment they could speak, they were asking for the gas. The researchers tried asking why. Why had they injured themselves? Why?
Basically, that's me with my ex. Like I was like basically same state, and each time I was like, but let's go for another fucking date. Let's see each other again. Like I was really out of my mind. I could have ended up like them. Well, basically, I still need to see the picture to kind of like see if I shared like the same fucking like injuries. My ex, like you know, like a beautiful death type of girl. You know, like yeah, that this type. Too good for you, too good for me, too good for anyone I know, bro.
Why they ripped out their own organs? Why did they want the gas? Only one response was given.
But scary as fuck.
I must remain awake. All 3 subjects' restraints were reinforced, and they were placed back into the chamber awaiting determination as to what should be done with them. The researchers, facing the wrath of their military benefactors for having failed the stated goals of their project, considered euthanizing the surviving subjects. The commanding officer, an ex-KGB, instead saw potential and wanted to see what would happen if they were put back on the gas. The researchers strongly objected, but were overruled.
Typical KGBs, they want to fucking see like KGB was actually so far like you have no idea. Oh, like when it comes to FBI, I don't know, but technically like they were still legislated and they were like on the rulings that were like kind of hardcore. KGB, bro, it was so basically KGB back in the day was something that was highly localized. So what does it mean? It means the state, once you have like the fucking KGB fucking badge, bro, like in your region, you're kinda the fucking, you cannot do whatever the fuck you want, bro. So you want to send someone to the gulag, so basically like concentration camps of during the Soviet Union. You can, like locally, like anyone, bro. Men, women, children, bro. They were not like joking about it and basically like overruling scientists. You can. KGB was like nothing to fucking laugh about back in the day. Like now it's FSB. FSB is more legislated, and they have to fucking like watch themselves because fucking like fucking cameras exist, bro. Well, like back in the day, bro, it's not. It was like nuts. KGB, bro, you fucking such. It's basically like it was basically North Korea level. Like people tend to fucking forget that it was like a totalitarian regime, bro. Like fucked up totalitarian, but still within the law because like basically like the thing is that if you were like not a fucking enemy of the state and basically not a jerk, you were not like fucking bullied or stuff like that, but you had to be fucking a patriot, you know, like not a dick sucker, not a bootlicker, but still fucking like but it's just like bros like show up to your fucking like to your fucking business or work, the KGB back in the day. You do as they say, or fucking Russian concentration camp, bro. And gulags, bro. No one came back, bro. Like it was middle of fucking like the tundra. What was it called? Siberia. It was in Siberia. It's like, bro, like it's like a goodbye, and they could do it with family, entire families and enemies of the state. It was like nothing to joke about, bro. You're enemy of the state. You're basically dead, bro. Like the question is, will you fucking take? Will your family pay as well for what you did? And that's where like actually like compared to Nazi Germany or North Korea, it was actually like more relaxed. Where like enemies of the state were like picked out, and it was not like fucking like public, because North Korea to this day they do public executions, public hanging, public shootings of families to remind you that like they're not fucking around. Nazi Germany, yeah, they were like comparable. People tend to fucking like be like, "Hey, Russians, they're funny people. They do vodka and shit." Yeah, bro. Like now they're kind of cringe because well, kind of cringe. They kind of like no one goes for war in a ultra democratical like uh, mondialized like worldwide connected system, right? So the war in Ukraine, well, everyone fucking hates it, you know. But back in the day, like before they basically lost their reputation and they were like giants, right? Especially because like now it's Russia. Back in the day, it was like the yeah the fucking CCCP. How is it called? Um, the Soviet Union, right? KGB, bro, you didn't laugh about it, and so the decisions that they made, I see fucking like they had the power to fucking tell like a bunch of sentences, bro. Like I don't care, fucking put them back on gas. That's just kind of like put you in perspective of like how like serious this case is, you know.
In preparation for being sealed in the chamber again, the subjects were connected to an EEG monitor and had their restraints patted.
EG is it's like hearts like heart or breathing monitor. Like I don't remember, but like this like basically EG monitor is something like if you're dead, that people like a doctor can know right away.
Added for a long-term confinement. To everyone's surprise, all three stopped struggling the moment they were back on the gas. It was obvious that, at this point, all three were putting up a great struggle to stay awake. One of the subjects that could speak was humming loudly and continuously. The mute was straining his legs against the leather bonds with all his might, first left, then right, then left again, just to have something to focus on. The remaining subject was holding his head off his pillow and blinking rapidly. Having been the first to be wired for EEG, most of the researchers were monitoring his brainwaves in surprise. They were normal, but most of the time...
So check this out. So this is where I actually tell you that like this wasn't a fake story, because usually, well, it was confirmed by the media that it was a true story from Russia. but good old Russia. But at the same time, when it comes to the creepypasta, so you see this picture. This is an actual picture. To actually, well, I do content creation, so and I did like photography during my life. So basically, like to fucking like do a picture like this, it will take so much effort that it's actually like it will take like cost you $3,000 to fucking take a picture like this, because you either need to fucking dress up like this in a set like this, right? Or all digital, which either way, like for a fucking creepy pasta, and now you can compare it to this picture, right? You see, like it's small, but like you can see, like this is like this takes 5 minutes. A kid can fucking do that, right? But this is nuts. This is actually a real picture, and this is like you can see like the malnutrition. You can see the skin, but like what's interesting as well is that like they fucking bite it. So basically, some stimulants that can fucking lead you to fucking do like crazy stuff, bro. Like if you don't feel pain, my bro, like you can actually like fucking tear out your own arm, bro, and not care about it if you don't feel the pain. What will stop you, right? But like their choices were actually like this is actually the interesting part where it's like really illogical, right? But look at the dude, and at the same time, he's smiling, right? He's really smiling, laughing. So now that you know why it's a real picture, isn't that curious? Like, he's actually fucking smiling. Because, like, technically, tell yourself that, like, you get high on weed or stuff like that, right? Do that for a long period of time, right? Basically, you'll have like your face expression that will be taken off. This picture was taken like randomly during the experimentation, right? The dude was fucked up, locked up in a fucking awful smile. And this is actually fucking like just like grim and fucking just fucking like fascinating, because the dude died. You can see his skin. He has nothing. Basically, Auschwitz victims. Well, you can compare it to an Auschwitz victim. You know, like let me just check. Let me just get a link. Like, won't take something. Yeah, right. Okay. Let's take this one, right? So check this picture. So take the time to to check this picture out, and remember, so this comes from human experimentation, okay? So this is not a gulag. You heard the story, right? Check how close it is to a fucking Auschwitz victim. Like, do you see like the fucking like arm that is the same where there's no muscle left, and like the fucking like ribs, but it's even like more awful because you don't fucking know what the fuck he did to himself. Anyway,
He just flatlined. It looked as if he was repeatedly suffering brain death before returning to normal again. As they focused on the paper scrolling out of the brainwave monitor, only one nurse saw his eyes slip shut at the same moment his head hit the pillow. His brainwaves immediately changed to that of deep sleep, then flatlined for the last time as his heart simultaneously stopped. The only remaining subject that could speak started screaming to be sealed in now. His brainwaves showed the same flatlines.
what the fuck? So basically, the dude there. So, four people dead so far. The last dude looks at the fucking scientist and the army, bro, and he fucking tell them, hey friend, put me back, bro, put me back, friend. Like, isn't that fucking insane? Like, this is
As
fascinating.
the other one who had just died. The commander gave the order to seal the chamber with both subjects inside as well as 3 other
Both
researchers.
subjects.
One of the 3 immediately drew his gun and shot the commander point blank right between the eyes, then turned the gun to the mute subject and blew his brains out. He pointed the gun at the remaining subject, still restrained to a bed as the members of the medical and research team fled the room. I won't be locked in here with these things. Not with you, he screamed, at what could no longer be called a man strapped to the table. What are you, he demanded. I must know. What are you? The subject smiled.
Have you forgotten so easily?
The subject asked.
We are you. We are the madness that lurks within you all, begging to be freed at every moment in your deepest animal mind. We are what you hide from your beds every night. We are what you sedate into silence when you go to the nocturnal heaven where we cannot tread.
The researcher paused, then aimed at the subject's exposed heart and fired. The EEG flatlined as the subject weakly choked out.
So nearly free.
Yeah, so I pretty much like did all the command. Uh, uh, Let me just.
Doubt.
So nearly free.
I just need to do one thing real quick. Okay. Yeah, so I really like the story. This is my favorite creepypasta. I used to listen to that like to fall asleep actually like not the with the images because the images they kind of freak me the fuck out. I will just like listen to audiobooks of like Cicada, Tweety, why not? Like all of this. I will listen to that and basically fall asleep. You don't ask me why. I'm just bro, like if you saw the fucking oh, by the way, the fucking test. Um, so no, it wasn't like a girl that was like my ex that he was like dating, but it's really close. Yeah, I was left it wasn't this heavy. Like when my ex would leave for the week. But I was a good boy as well, so could have been worse. Anyway,